The views on a Breath of Fresh Air podcast reflects the parties involved, and we encourage you all to use it as a conversational tool that will lead to personal studies of your own.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Welcome to a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz Gay. As a young person, Christianity can be so foggy, like smoke in the mirrors and so unclear. But we're here to bring you a breath of fresh air.
In those days, I, Daniel, had been mourning for 3 entire weeks. I did not eat any tasty food, nor did meat or wine enter my mouth, nor did I use any ointment at all until the entire 3 weeks were completed. On the 24th day of the first month, while I was by the bank of the great river, that is, the Tigris, I lifted my eyes and looked, and behold, there was a certain man, dressed in linen, whose waist was girded with a belt of pure gold of Uphaz. His body was like beryl. His face had the appearance of lightning. His eyes were like flaming torches. His arms and feet like the gleam of polished bronze, and the sound of his words like the sound of a tumult. Now I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, while the men who were with me did not see the vision. Nevertheless, a great dread fell on them, and they ran away to hide themselves. So I was alone and saw this great vision. Yet no strength was left in me, for my natural color turned to deathly pallor, and I retained no strength. But I heard the sound of his words, and as soon as I heard the sound of his words, I fell into a deep sleep on my face, with my face to the ground.
In today's episode, we delve into Daniel chapter 10, a chapter that takes us behind the veil of the spiritual realm. Join us as we explore Daniel's intense vision, his encounter with a heavenly messenger, and the unseen battles waged in the spiritual world. Discover the profound implications of this revelation and how it speaks to the power of prayer and perseverance in our own lives. As always, be blessed and enjoy. All right, welcome back to another episode of a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts,
Nakhaz Gay
and Earl Roberts. Hopefully everyone had a great week. Thank you for tuning in with us another Friday afternoon, or whenever you decide to listen to the podcast, because you have that freedom of choice. So, how you doing?
Doing all right, man. Long week. Had some really hard workouts this week, bro. On Thursday, I felt horrible. I didn't have a lot of sleep going into Thursday. No, going into Wednesday. Wednesday. I can't remember. On Thursday, yeah, going into Thursday, I didn't have enough sleep. And then coming out of Thursday, no. Going into Wednesday, I didn't have enough sleep. And then Wednesday night, I didn't get enough sleep again because somebody wake me up pretty early. And my head was pounding the whole day, bro. I had a migraine, bro.
Goodness gracious.
Bro. So, and for those who don't know, we recorded on Wednesday. That was last week's episode. So I was just saying how good of a day I had. And then the following day, it wasn't a bad day, but I just didn't feel well at all.
You just was coming down off of the mountaintop.
That's how it felt, bro.
It's only so high you could go. Like they say, if they get so high, the only place left is down. So,
bro, but what a crash though, and it wasn't really related to the day that I had, but it was more so like the lack of sleep that I had in like a 48-hour span.
Boy, your body does sure tell you when to rest, buddy.
Boy, I'm telling you,
it's the one thing I'm seeing more and more
as I get older, bro. Like your body, like no, because there's the thing. Let's say you work hard all day, right? You get home, you do some chores, you do whatever. By the time you lay down, you get to decide, what am I going to do with this last bit of free time before we do it all tomorrow? Am I just going to go to sleep or am I going to entertain myself in some way? You know what I mean? And so sometimes I just be like, man, let me see what's online, or let me watch a movie or something. But my body like, no, bro, we sleepy, bro. We tired, you know? But I'm like, bro, this is the only free time that I had all day, you know? But as
Boy,
I
oh
get
boy.
older, I know that you can't negotiate that rest, you know?
My body knows when like I say my body is take it, sleep back. It's like I have
Mhm.
agreement with my body, buddy. I could push you as far as I could push you. My body is saying on the weekends, buddy, it's my time now.
I get now bark. I feel
I
that.
get in that back, buddy. Oh my! But God is good. God is good. We made it through another week, through the highs and the lows. So that's a blessing in itself.
Mhm.
So you got a Psalms ready or a proverb?
I can be honest, I don't. But we can start with Proverbs
Start
1,
from the
bro.
top. Start from
Yeah,
the top.
or Psalms 1. Let's
This
just do
thing-
Proverbs
I
1.
was like, I was like, buddy, this thing gotta take it from the
Yeah,
top.
yeah, we don't gotta freak out. What you got, a Psalms 1 or Proverbs
But
1?
we can alternate it, bro. Every other episode.
All right. Hope I can keep up. But all right, let's go. Let's go Proverbs 1, bro.
Okay.
I feeling proverbial today.
Oh
You know what I
goodness.
mean? So let me
It's
where's the
only fitting that
Proverbs?
the poet read from Proverbs. I guess Psalms also would be fitting. I don't know. Never mind. I take that
Yeah.
statement back.
Let's get it. Proverbs chapter 1.
Mhm.
Why am I in NIV? Let's go NKJV. I used to
Uh,
be really hard on other translations, but not as much anymore. But anyway, Proverbs 1. The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David. Pop up just okay, anyway, king of Israel. To know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive instruction of wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity. I'm reading from the New King James Version. To give prudence to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and increase learning, and a man of understanding will attain wise counsel. To understand a proverb and an enigma, the words of the wise and their riddles. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but
mhm.
fools despise wisdom and instruction. My son, hear the instruction of your father, and do not forsake the law of your mother, for they will be a graceful ornament on your head and chains about your neck. Should that be a point for, for jewelry?
Oh goodness gracious.
My son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. If they say, come with us, let us lie in wait to shed blood. Let us lurk secretly for the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them alive like Sheol and whole like those who go down to the pit. We shall find all kinds of precious possessions. We shall fill our houses with spoil. Cast in your lot among us. Let us all have one purse. My son, do not walk in the way with them. Keep your foot from their path, for their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed blood. Surely in vain the net is spread in the sight of any bird, but they lie in wait for their own blood. They lurk secretly for their own lives. That's so crazy, bro.
Mm.
So are the ways of everyone who is greedy for gain. It takes away the life of its owner. So we got about like I don't know, like 14 more verses. You have anything to say on any of that?
Boy, the funny thing about it is, I feel like if we start talking about it in depth, it could be a whole
It can
episode
go too
itself.
long.
That's why I was like, I can save all my commentary until the end.
Uh, all right. So I can keep pushing. Verse 20. Wisdom calls aloud outside. She raises her voice in the open squares. She cries out in the chief concourses. At the openings of the city, of the gates in the city, she speaks her words. How long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? For scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Turn up my rebuke. Surely I will pour out my spirit on you. I will make my words known to you. Because I have called and you refused, I have stretched out my hand and no one regarded. Because you disdained all my counsel and would have none of my rebuke, I also will laugh at your calamity. Bro, is this in the Bible? I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your error, when your terror comes. I'm sorry. When your terror comes like a storm and your destruction comes like a whirlwind, when distress and anguish comes upon you, then they will call on me, but I will not answer. Bro, this is Bible? Bro, no lie, we were just talking about this last week. We were just talking about this at potluck last week. But anyway, then they will call on me, but I will not answer. They will seek me diligently, but they will not find me because they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord. They would have
Lady
none of
wisdom,
my
boy.
counsel. For real, they would have none of my counsel and despise my every rebuke. Therefore, they shall eat the fruit of their own wing and be filled to the full with their own fancies. For the turning away of the simple for the turning away of the simple will slay them, and the complacency of fools will destroy them. But whoever listens to me will dwell safely and will be secure without fear of evil. Mercy. That's deep. So yeah, I mean, bro, just last week we were talking about how do we handle advice. The first question was, do you always expect people to take your advice? General question, just to get.
No.
What do you do when someone repeatedly does not take your advice? Like, what's your next course of action? You know, my
I
answer
stopped
was
giving
that
it.
I don't expect no one to take my advice like ever.
Yeah.
I would hope you take my advice, especially because you come to me, but I do understand that you might be weighing all options. And then my
Exactly.
advice might be what I would do it. It might not be that material in every situation. However, if you repeatedly don't take my advice, I would have no choice but to realize that you don't want my advice, but you really just want to vent. You know what I mean? You just want to
Yeah.
have a conversation about the problem,
I think it's two different ways to look at it, right? Because of like, okay, are you coming to me for advice about the same situation, or are you coming to me advice for different situations that are not related and you're constantly not taking it? Because to me, that's two different ways I look at it, right? Because if you come to me for, let's just say, this could be a blatant example, how to fix your car, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I say, boy, it might be a transmission, right? You say, boy, no, but that's my alternator, boy.
Mm-hmm.
Then you come back and say, but your thing
It
still ain't
wasn't
fixed,
it
boy.
wasn't the alternator.
I say, boy, it's the transmission, boy.
Mm-hmm.
No, boy, something wrong with my starter, boy.
Mm.
You go down, you come back and say, boy, it's your transmission, dog.
No, man, I think the battery dead.
I can say, boy, all right, cool. Do you.
Very cool.
Don't come back to me, right?
Yeah.
But let's just say it's a couple different instances, right? When someone asks for advice on different things, and sometimes they take it, sometimes they don't. And to me, one, you should never, unless you're like a super pro or something in it. Even when you give advice, I think some people feel entitled that, oh, you must do what I say, whereas some people just generally trying to get a different perspective. Like, how is another way to consider this? Let me see another angle that I may have not already considered.
Mm.
Right? Just to see if I'm making the best informed decision possible, right? Because let's just say I come to you and be like, yo, guys, I'm about to buy a fourplex or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you give me your perspective on the deal, right? I would be like, that's something to consider. Mm-hmm. I might not do it exactly that way, but at least you gave me another perspective or another piece of advice to consider. I feel like sometimes people get too entitled saying, oh, I tell Earl what to do and Earl do it. But you don't know what else Earl was considering, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes because sometimes I ask people the advice on a matter just to literally just get another perspective on it.
But I don't take everybody advice, bro. I really don't take everybody advice.
And some people ain't qualified to give advice.
Right. And sometimes I'd be wrong, bro. Sometimes I'm wrong, bro. Sometimes I'm just like, bro, you was telling me that. I wasn't feeling that. My horizon was limited. You see what I'm saying?
Sometimes I give a couple of give people advice. I'd be like, thank God they ain't take my advice because it work out better for them not for listening to me.
That's true too. That's true too.
You know what I'm saying? And other times we've been to where we have not taken people advice and it's worked both ways. Like, dang, I should have listened to homeboy. Or but it's a good thing I listened because look what would have happened.
Real talk. And I quick to be happy I take your advice if it worked better. You know what I mean? Like, oh, thank God I didn't do that. But in the text, you see my boy saying, bro, like, no, but like, I gotta laugh at your calamity. No, your calamity. Now, I don't take this as someone just being a hater, but I take this as someone who sometimes people ask for your advice And truly, they do not know any better. They do not know what to do. And there's a clear-cut answer. You see what I'm saying? Oh, pay your tithes, do this and that. You see what I'm saying? Like clear-cut, thus said the law, answer. Oh, but they choose not to do it. You see what I'm saying? And I was like, bro, if you want to settle your conflict by talking behind this person back, and I say, wait, don't do that, bro. You say saying, oh, you want to get physical with them? And I say, don't do it. You get what I'm saying? Like, this is like the right answer across the board. And you do it. Solomon is saying, Solomon is saying, bro, I laughing at you, bro. Verse 26, I will also laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your terror comes, bro. I might have to do a deeper study on that.
But to me, I think this one is a little different context, right? Because I think here, to your point, just talking about sound wisdom and sound advice, and then we also talking about the wisdom of the Lord, right? So this chapter really saying, babe, you know within your heart what to do. God already told you what to do, what you shouldn't be doing. Right, we see early in the chapter was talking about following after fools and don't do that, don't do those type of things, right? So we're talking about actual pure wisdom here. You already were instructed what to do, and now in your heart you said, "I am not doing it." You know what I'm saying? So now you are blatantly making the inner decision to not listen to the voice of God, to not listen to the word of God, to not listen to sound counsel and sound judgment. And so now you see what he's saying, bro. All right, you had the opportunity to listen, you had the opportunity to learn, you had the opportunity to understand, and now you blatantly chose to go against what God was telling you to do. So now, buddy, when you need me, I ain't gonna be there because when I was there, you didn't listen to me.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? And since they hated knowledge and did not choose to fear God, since they would not accept my advice, they spurned my rebuke. They will eat the fruit of their ways. It almost, like, to me, this almost reminds me of Pharaoh, right?
Mm-hmm.
You already set in your heart what you could do. So I have to give you over to your own desires now. This is what you want. This is what you get. You have to live with the choices of your actions.
Yeah,
the actions of your choices. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you got...
You got to stand on that. You lay your bed. You got to lie in that now.
Exactly. And so that's what happened. That's what happened in this chapter. And that's funny now. He describing it.
Right, my mommy used to read us Proverbs every day, bro.
You remember this one?
I don't remember this. I really don't remember this.
And this fresh out the gate.
This one number one. You see what I say? My mommy she was content to make sure we wasn't no fools, bro. She read us Proverbs every day. And that's when I realized that, sometimes you really do have foolish tendencies as described by the Bible. Like, if ain't nobody can tell you nothing, if you hard-headed, that's a foolish trait. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like they talk about how fools do not heed to wisdom, or they don't like wisdom, And so if somebody trying to tell you better, but and you just can't take no advice, that you being foolish. I ain't come out and say you are a fool, but that's a foolish quality, So
the word Solomon, but you might just be a fool, buddy.
Bro, but if you let Solomon tell it,
the man say only fools despise wisdom and instruction. I don't know.
That's true. That's the only place who would do it.
The wisest man in the world telling me only a fool would despise wisdom and instruction.
That's true. But
I think this also comes down to a matter of pride too, especially for us men, young adults, young men. It's also a matter of pride, bro, because sometimes you don't even want to be wrong, so you let your pride get in the way of you adhering to sound counsel. And sometimes I'm guilty of that too. I ain't even gonna hold you.
That's facts, but at the same time, we can't exclude that from the foolish realm.
No, I'm gonna say it's foolish. It's definitely foolish.
Right, because pride has cost so many people their lives, bro. Like, you know what I mean? It cost people greatly.
Pride has caused you to work harder when you need to, just off a principle.
True. Just because you didn't want to ask, or you didn't want to go back, you didn't want to look bad.
You didn't want to look bad, but you outside struggling. Like, I ain't asking for help, buddy.
I see it, but I see it, bro. I see it with Christian men all the time, bro. Like, you see what I said? Like, I've seen it, bro. I see it.
Hey, started on business, bro.
Started on business, bro. I see it, man. It's like someone might need help lifting something, right? And their wife might ask, hey, you need help? But just off of pride, they said, no, I got it. Now you gotta watch them struggle and break their back. Wait, everybody can see you need help, bro. Everybody can see it. You know what I mean? But okay. All right, buddy.
Do your thing.
Yeah.
All right.
That was
So
that was fun. That was fun.
a quick high level breakdown of Proverbs 1. I mean, I'm sure there's way more we could say, but we have Daniel to get back to.
Mhm.
And it might be interesting how this might even tie into Daniel. We'll see.
Sure.
So we are in Daniel chapter 10. Daniel chapter 10. So last year.
Week. I know what we was doing last year. If you want to brief us on that, be my guest. You know what I mean? But I was hoping we would do something more recent. Like last week.
Man, so the reason why I say, like when you're reading something and trying to talk, but it ain't related. So sometimes like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
word that you see, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was reading the third year, and just ended up coming out. Oh goodness. Anyway, that's funny. So last week's episode, we saw Daniel was praying earnestly for his people to return back to Jerusalem. And then also we were in the first year of Darius, son of Xerxes. And then at the end of Daniel 9, we went into the 70 weeks prophecy. We broke it down to the best of our ability. We're probably going to revisit that in a probably later episode, give it the attention it deserves. But since we were there, we discussed it. And so now in Daniel 10, we are in the third year of Cyrus, king of Persia. So now we are firmly in the Persian Empire. Darius was the Mede, who, again, we talked about this when early in the chapter when Darius conquered Babylon. But Darius was a Mede. He was like under Cyrus now, and he's the one who actually captured Babylon in the name of Cyrus. Now Darius is gone away with. So now we actually under like Cyrus properly, king of Persia. But so in the third year, Cyrus, king of Persia, revelation was given to Daniel, who was called Belteshazzar. Its message was true, and it concerned a great war. The understanding of the message came to him in a vision. At that time, I, Daniel, mourned for 3 weeks. I ate no choice food, no meat, no wine touched my lips, and I used no lotions at all until the 3 weeks were over. Okay, so, go for it.
No, you want to start?
No, go for it.
All right, so the first thing to note is that it says no choice meat or wine, right?
Uh-huh.
And so one of the things that's most notable about Daniel was his diet, especially at a young age. He didn't eat the king's meat. Now, you and I, we had a brief debate about what was it about the king's meat. You see what I'm saying? Was it that it was unclean meat that was given, or was it that this was meat given over to idols, and he in this dedication to God chose not to eat or preferred not to eat? Right now, when I get here, I want to lean more towards the meat offered to idols or something about the meat that, and under normal circumstances, I would eat, but I want to separate myself. You know what I mean? Because now they mention that he did not eat meat. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he did not drink wine. Now, the thing about this is that we know from chapter 1, Daniel didn't drink wine. And also, it's for those who don't know, the term in Hebrew, wine, the same word is used to mean grape juice and fermented wine. You see what I'm saying? Do with that as you wish. If you believe this pertains to fermented wine, more power to you. I do not though. I believe this is just him saying that he ain't had no sweet drinks, like no juice or nothing like that, just straight water type situation. You know what I mean? Just straight water. And I think maybe vegetables or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think he gone right back to the original diet that he did when he was fresh out of when he first came to exile.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what it was. There's no choice food, no meat, no wine, and I don't know what the lotion part was about. Honestly, probably should look into more of that before the podcast episode. But like the no choice food means I don't like. Historians say they don't think he was eating any bread or anything sweet either. So that's what the no choice part come in, and no meat, no wine. And then yeah, I agree. He wasn't drinking wine. It's just probably like nothing, no sweet drinks, no juice or anything. So it's just pretty much water and probably vegetables. And again, in context, Daniel was in his 80s. He was in his mid 80s during this point too. So he, just to say, your body can't take what it could have take when you was in your 20s and your 30s and your 40s. You know what I'm saying? So you ate this the best. Like he gotta eat to live right now. You know what I'm saying? So you can't go cold turkey. I'm fasting. No food at all because he probably get dead.
Yeah. And yeah, that's true. So you can't, yeah, you're right. You can't just fast cold turkey, nothing. You know what I mean? You got to put some type of nourishment in the body. But I think the no lotion part was about just depriving yourself of all pleasures during this time. You see what I'm saying? Because lotion is a fragrance, but it also is necessary for health of skin. Now, not everybody's skin react the same, and some people don't need it as much as other people. You know what I'm saying? Just depending on how oily your skin is naturally. But I'm no dermatologist. But anyway, I feel like he was just trying to be self depriving. You know. Another thing I wanted to mention though was that in verse 1,
I was going to say, like, why was he mourning?
right? But even before that, so a message was revealed to Daniel, right? The message was true, but the appointed time was long, and he understood the message and had understanding of the vision. And so when we spoke about his vision, when we were in Daniel chapter 8, there was a time when the saints were saying, like, how long shall the horn? I can't remember the exact words, but the answer was 2,300 days. Right. And so several visions that Daniel has had and several interpretation, they involved periods of time. But soon when we get everything in totality, we'll show that these are all a consistent time frame, just different sections of it, like just different sections are being highlighted just depending on the vision. Like last week, when it said 70 weeks are determined, the Hebrew word is actually to mean 70 weeks are broken off or set apart.
Yeah, set apart.
Yeah, set apart. So it's like out of this long passage of time, 70 weeks are isolated here. You see what I'm saying? And we're gonna talk about that more. And I'm sorry to just keep teasing it, but I want to get everything like just get through all of the info and then actually attack that. And so with that said, now another thing I wanted to mention is why was Daniel fasting? So as we see
And then
morning, like, and he going hard too because he like, bro, I ain't eating nothing. I could be ashy. I could be really uncomfortable doing these 3 whole weeks.
You wouldn't have to call him Ashi, man. We don't know if he was Ashi. He might not have been. He might not have been Ashi, man. You ain't got to call him Ashi.
No, see, the reason I say that, right, is because the fact that you mentioned that you're not using lotion, to me implies that you need lotion. Anyway, I try to be disrespectful to the general, bro. So,
oh boy.
So now let's go back, and that's why I was kind of skeptical as to why did we go in the chronology that we went, because we went to Esther because that was kind of like the natural succession of the Bible after the Kings and Chronicles books. But then after Esther was like to go to Job, it's like, bro, we all kind of all over the place. So we continued Ezra, Nehemiah, but Esther, Ezra, and Nehemiah, they were so far in advance compared to the other prophets. Now we kind of going back in time, but I'm glad that we have already discussed some of the Persian Empire because it gives a little bit of context. So now notice in chapter 1, verse 1 of this chapter, it says, it was the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, right? Why is that significant? Because in Ezra chapter 1, in the first year of King Cyrus, I'm reading Ezra chapter 1, in the first year of King Cyrus, of king of Persia, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah had been fulfilled. So
Yep.
remember last chapter, we were saying how Daniel was just waiting for them 70 years to be fulfilled, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, 70 years have been fulfilled. And what happens at the end of the 70 years? They would now be able to return back to Jerusalem to rebuild the city. And so that's what happened in the first year of Cyrus. If you don't remember this text, you could go back to our Ezra chapter 1 episode where we discussed this a little more. And so now, for context, the people of Israel are now back in Jerusalem and they had already started building the temple. It is assumed that Daniel did not go because he was so mature in age, and it is very likely that that is why he did not travel with them. But during this time, if we go to Ezra chapter 4, something interesting happens between the time issued for them to go and the time where we're at now in Daniel's timeline. So in Ezra chapter 4, it says, wait, let me see. I'm sorry, Ezra chapter 3.
Mm-hmm.
Now, verse 8. Now, in the second year of their coming unto the house of God at Jerusalem, in the second month began Zerubbabel, son of Shealtiel, and Joshua, the son of Josadak, and the remnant of their brethren, and the priests and the Levites, and all they that were come out of captivity unto Jerusalem. And long story short, I don't want to have to just keep reading through all this. In the second year that they after the decree, they started building the temple. And the
Yep.
foundation was laid within that second year. Now, in chapter 4, continuing, just summarizing, when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity builded the temple unto the Lord God of Israel, they then came to Zerubbabel and to the chief of the fathers and said unto them, let us build with you, for we seek your God, as ye do, and we do sacrifice unto him since the days of Esarhaddon, king of Asher, which brought us up hither. But Zerubbabel and Joshua and the rest of the chief of their fathers of Israel said unto them, ye have nothing to do with us to build an house unto our God, but we ourselves together will build unto the Lord of God of Israel, as King Cyrus, the king of Persia, has commanded us. Now in verse 4, then the people of the land, these people include the Arabs, the Samaritans, and some other people, they were all enemies to the Jews. Then the people of the land weakened the hands of the people of Judah and troubled them in building, and hired counselors against them to frustrate their purpose all
Lord.
the days of Cyrus, king of Persia, even until the reign of Darius, king of Persia. So now with that context, King Cyrus in year 1, he said, you all may go back. They gathered everybody, they prepared to travel. They made it back to Jerusalem probably in year 1 or 2, but they started building in year 2. Now, shortly after their building had started, the Samaritans and their enemies, they asked to build. They were denied. And for the rest of King Cyrus's reign, they decided that they were going to stop the work of the people of God. So now Daniel is here during this time. This is only a year after the hindrance had started, and Daniel realizes that his people we waited 70 years. He was fasting and praying for this time. And now the work has ceased. The work has been hindered. And so if I were Daniel, I would be in great distress. When we read in Nehemiah, when Nehemiah finds in Nehemiah chapter 1, when he finds out that the wall had not been built, even though the temple had been built by then, when he found out that even the wall had not been built, he was in great distress, and he was a young man. He started fasting and praying in a similar fashion. So I believe this is the proper context as to why Daniel is so distraught and so adamant in praying and fasting and not wearing lotion. That's what the Bible say, bro.
Oh Lord, the man. You could have let that one slide, but
Other versions say he did not anoint himself.
exactly.
If that helps.
Oh wow. Anyway, let me go back to this to the New King James Version. Right, you're talking about my lotion and himself. Anyway, so
Verse 4.
yeah, now on the 24th day of the first month, as I was beside the great river that is the Tigris, I lifted my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose waist was girded with the gold of Uphaz.
Mm.
Uphaz. His body was like beryl or topaz in some versions. His face like the appearance of lightning. His eyes like torches of fire. His arms and feet like burnished bronze in color, and the sound of his words were like the voice of a multitude. Who is this man, Kaz?
Bro, who could it be? What's interesting about this is that we're gonna talk about Daniel is gonna describe men in this chapter, but I want it to be clear that this is a vision that he is seeing. I lifted my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen. You know what I'm saying? He's seeing this as he look over the waters. He sees like a vision of a man. You know, and the reason why I'm saying this because in verse 7 it says, "I Daniel alone saw the vision." Just for clarity, right? But what's so interesting about this, right? We could speculate who it is because I mean, bro, who if we describe his face to be like lightning and stuff like that, bro, I don't know what human being is described as that, you know. But I think just even for context, we could allow Bible to answer Bible. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So you're gonna
All
take a
right,
trip down to Revelation?
let's do it. Let's do it.
Revelation. You have it up? I have it up.
I have it up. Whoever.
All right. Revelation 1, chapter 1, 12 through 16. Then I turned to see the voice that spoke with me. And having turned, I saw 7 golden lampstands, and in the midst of the 7 lampstands, one like the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to his feet, and girded about the chest with a golden band.
Mm.
His head and hair were white like wool, as white as snow. His eyes were like the flame of fire. His feet were like fine brass, and if refined in the furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. He had in his right hand 7 stars. Out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword, and his countenance was like the sun shining in its full strength.
Mercy. And so if we just, you know, we cut out we started at verse 12. Verse 11, the voice was already saying, "I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If we was to go down to verse 18, it says, "I am he who lives and was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore. Amen." You know what I'm saying? And it's written in red. This being described is none other than Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. And so here we see before John the Revelator saw this vision, right? We see
Thousands of
Daniel.
years later.
Yeah,
Well,
thousands of years prior, we see Daniel had a
hundreds.
hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah, hundreds,
Hundreds.
definitely. Even 1,000 years later, bro.
Hundreds.
I just feel the
I had
need
to catch myself too. I was like,
I
hold on.
just feel the need to say thousands of years later because I always have to say whenever I talk about the Bible compared to now, I can comfortably say thousands of years, but this is all within Bible.
Yeah.
Okay, and so so to go back, right?
Mhm.
He said, "I lifted my eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen." Right?
Yep.
If we compare it to Revelation 12, right? They say clothed with a garment down to his feet. Now they don't say the type of garment, but we know they describing his fit, right?
Mhm.
They say around his waist, girded was gold of
Yep.
Uphaz. Now, there's only other one time they mention gold of Uphaz. This in Jeremiah, but it's used to describe how pure, like the purest of pure gold.
Mhm.
And then what's around this guy's waist area? Where it say girded about the chest area with a golden band.
Yep.
Right? This was one like the Son of Man, right? So in Revelation, they talk about his eyes like a flame of fire. His feet were like fine brass, refined in a furnace. Oddly similar to the person in verse 6 of Daniel 10. His body was like beryl, his face was like the appearance of lightning, his eyes like torches of fire, eyes
Mhm.
like fire, his arms and feet like burnished bronze in color, bronze, brass. They use it interchangeably in the
Same
Bible.
thing.
You get what I'm saying? And so, and the sound of his words like the voice of a multitude. And even in
Revelation say the voice of many waters.
Right. And so we
A,
can see
a booming voice.
for real. And truly, this is the same vision that they're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
100%. They just from two different times. They use two different languages. Some people, they two different people. If me and Earl see the same person, I might say, yeah, the dude with the blah, blah, blah shoes. Earl might say the dude with the blah, blah, blah shirt. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
so yeah, but they definitely both are describing Jesus. So here we see Daniel has seen a vision of Jesus way before time. Excuse me.
Agreed. Now in verse 7, and I, Daniel, alone saw the vision. For the men who were with me did not see the vision, but a great terror fell upon them, so they fled and hid themselves.
They just leave Daniel, boy.
Lord of mercy. Therefore, I was left alone when I saw the great vision, and no strength remained in me, for my vigor was turned to frailty in me, and I retained no strength. Yet I heard the sound of his words, and while I heard the sound of his words, I was in a deep sleep on my face, with my face to the ground. I joke off Paul. I say, boy, Daniel could think, boy.
Boy, yeah, no, these visions whopping them up, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
Daniel sure could have think.
So
Go for it.
I want to show a parallel between this and Saul.
Okay, go for it.
And the reason why I'm feeling impressed to talk about this, because last week we spoke about the last 7 days in the 70-week prophecy, or the last 7 years, rather, right? And they say he'll make a covenant with many in that last week, which is the Jews. He's going to fulfill his covenant in the middle of the week. He's going to put an end to sacrifices. And we know during that time, he's going to be cut off. For more info, please check out our episode last week. And last week, what was so interesting about that was we, in the chart, we showed that at the end of the 70-week prophecy, they had a Daniel, I'm sorry, they had a ox, they had a chopped in ox, right? As if like, hey, this was like the prophecy being fulfilled, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I read it, I didn't really get much context as to how it related to Daniel 9. Because in Daniel 9, they didn't speak about what happened in Ox, but they did without saying it. So the text, it took me straight to the stoning of Stephen. I'm trying to find what text it was. I thought it was Ox chapter 4, but okay. Anyway, we can go straight to chapter 9. So anyway, after the stoning of Stephen, during the stoning of Stephen, we get introduced to Saul, right? They say the young man, he was holding their coats, right?
Mm-hmm.
And basically the prophecy ends at actually the stoning of Stephen, because it was then that the preaching to the Gentiles had started. You see what I'm saying? It was at that point where they started to preach to the Gentiles, and thus fulfilling that 1 week covenant of locking in with the Jews, basically, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it was at that year, at the same year. And the stoning of Stephen is just, it's not that it was prophesied to happen, but it was not a determinant factor, but it was like something memorable that happened and that sparked, you know.
And I could just read the voice verses looking for. So in Acts 7:57, at this they covered their ears and yelling at the top of their voices, they rushed him, Stephen, dragged him out of the city and began to stone him. Meanwhile, the witnesses laid their coats at the feet of a young man named Saul.
Mm-hmm. So now, So now we in Acts 9, right? Then Saul, still breathing threats and murder against the disciples of the Lord. So since then, they was talking about how Saul was trying to pass bills to just have the people, the Christians, this new group then being the Christians. I don't know if they were actually called that, but group of Christ followers.
They followed the way of Jesus Christ.
The way, right? He was trying to, get clearance to just have them killed on sight when he see them, right? So now this man, Saul, he's so mad, he breathing threats and murder against the disciples of the Lord. And he went to the high priest and asked letters from him to the synagogues of Damascus, so that he found any who were of the way, whether men or women, he might bring them bound to Jerusalem. But he was oh man, bounty, he's a bounty hunter.
Bounty hunter.
As he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly a light shone around him from heaven. Then he fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to him, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? And he said, Who are you, Lord? Then the Lord said, I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting. It is hard for you to kick against the goads. So he trembling and astonished said, Lord, what do you want me to do? Then the Lord said to him, Arise and go into the city, and you will be told what to do. Verse 7. And the men who journeyed with him stood speechless, hearing a voice, but seeing no one. Then Saul arose from the ground, and when his eyes were opened, he saw no one, but they led him by the hand and brought him into Damascus. And he was 3 days without sight, and neither ate nor drank. So when I was taught this,
Mm-hmm.
to me, I was taught that the Lord like cursed him with blindness, right? But I believe there's also room to think that he was blinded by even the sight of the Lord, and it took 3 days. No. Because because Ananias had to heal him. Never mind.
Mm-hmm.
My mind was just going all over the place. But anyway, let me stick to the plot. Let me stick to the point. So we see now in verse 7 of chapter 10 of Daniel, I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, for the men who were with me did not see the vision, but a great terror fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves. So I just want to show consistency with, people, several different people in the Bible who had visions of God. They there, and only they could see, and they get weak. You know what I'm saying? They get scared, obviously. Saul didn't pass out. No offense to Daniel or whatever, but yeah,
Man,
we can
Saul
see
was a little younger man.
he was much younger.
He had that vigor in him, you know?
Yeah. He had plenty strength. And so yeah, I mean, I just wanted to point that out.
All right. So which verse?
Maybe I don't know. No. I think we read through verse 9. I can't remember.
Yeah. We read through verse 9. Yeah, we actually about to get we only got a couple verses, 10 verses left, but we actually about to get into interesting conversation coming up. So suddenly a hand touched me, which made me tremble on my knees and on the palm of my hands. And he said to me, O Daniel, man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak to you and stand upright, for I have now been sent to you. While he was speaking this word to me, I stood trembling. Then he said to me, Do not fear. Do not fear, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your heart to understand and to humble yourself before God, your words were heard, and I have come because of your words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me for 21 days, and behold, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I had been left alone there with the kings of Persia. Now I have to make you understand what will happen to your people in the latter days, for the vision refers to many days yet to come. So it's a couple things, right? Is the person who's talking to Daniel now still the same person he saw in the vision?
I don't think so.
Me either. And that's a very important point to point out.
Yeah, that's why I had to jump the gun a little bit, but that's why when he was describing what he saw, I wanted to make it clear that this was a vision that he was seeing. You see what I'm saying?
Because I mean, here's the thing, right? We didn't talk about this earlier, but there's two schools of thought, right? Some people think that in order to, anyway, I jump in the gun, but it's important to note, like Kazi say, in verse 7 was a vision. Now an angel is coming to him in verse 10 to explain the vision.
Yes.
And that's very important to note, because this whole mix-up right here leads to a whole different theology or way of thinking, and quite honestly, way of interpreting the scripture. And it's very crucial, right? Because now the question is that if you believe that it wasn't, if you believe it's the same person, then the question comes to bear: why is Michael coming to help this angel wrestle against the princes of Persia? And again, when you talk about the kings of Persia, we're talking about the spiritual realm. We ain't talking about the physical kings of Persia. We're talking about, like, go for it.
Yeah. Before we even get to that, if we just identify, I hope it's without a shadow of doubt, but we just identify that the vision whom he saw across the waters was Jesus, right? And
Mhm.
the question would then beg, why would any angel have to help Jesus?
Exactly.
Because the devil had him cornered. You see what I'm saying? If the devil could beat you, like, are you superior? You know what I mean? Like, truly, right?
Exactly.
And so I try not to speak like this, like what I'm about to say, because I don't think it's like a foolproof way of reasoning. But in verse 10, it says, suddenly a hand touched me, right? Which made me tremble on my knees and on the palm of my hands. It could have said, then the hand of the person I saw, or then his hand touched me. You know what I'm saying? Implying that this was the same person that we saw across the waters touching me. You know what I'm saying? But in verse 10, it says, a hand touched me. You know, does it say explicitly that person's hand? No. And then when they describe the person, like from context clues, it does not line up with the person that he just described, whom he saw. This person was like lightning, bro. When Saul looked at the same person, he got blinded. You see what I'm saying? Um, and so I do think it was an angel touching him. You know, it was an angel, but I don't think it was Jesus that touched him.
And then now, but the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. So now we see it's interesting, right? And again, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, right? But against what principalities, powers, wicked evilness in high places. And it's real.
Yeah.
And it's real. So now, because here's what we've seen in Daniel. There is an angel who literally said, buddy, from when you was praying, God sent me.
From that time, from as soon as you start praying, I get sent.
I get sent.
Mm-hmm.
But I was held up. You call it what it is, by demons.
Mm-hmm.
I was held up. I was battling trying to get to you.
Yeah,
They
and I was
blocked
losing.
me.
And I was losing.
They blocked. We talked about this like many chapters ago, right? We got to remember, if a third of the angels from heaven fell,
Mhm.
all these were low-ranking angels.
Exactly. It don't say because
You gotta
it just say a
remember.
third.
It just say a third.
In the hospital, bro. We like in hospital finance, we have something called case mix, right?
Uh-huh.
You could have a bunch of cases, but what's the mixture of them, right? Because you could have 1,000 cases, right? But if 500 of them are your most lethal cases, the number's gonna be through the roof, right? But if only like 1% of them is your most lethal cases, then the lower like expense cases gonna dilute everything, so you might not get the same type of profits. What's the mix of angels? We do not know. You could say a third, but no lie, right? Let's say out of the third, all of them was the fighting angels. It's still a third. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. And here's the thing, bro. We know one of the third was the head honcho.
for sure.
So it's
Yeah.
like, bro, all this to say, bro, we know God got the ultimate power, but evil is real.
Right. And it's not to say that they have no power.
Exactly. And
You know what I mean?
and that's all I'm trying to say. Like, I ain't trying to big them up or nothing, right? But I'm just saying, buddy, angels, I mean, the demons have power. And we can see right here, an angel himself saying, buddy, I was trying to come to you and they hold me up. Not for one day, bro. Not for 2 days. For 3 weeks.
For 3 weeks.
3 complete weeks.
I was losing for 3 weeks, bro.
And guess what, guys?
I had to get bailout.
I had to get help.
I had to get bailout, yeah.
I have to get help. If Michael didn't come, buddy, I wouldn't be here right now talking to you.
Yeah. Real talk.
Hey? Michael was like, I wonder if he can handle it.
Oh, I gotta come help him, man. He ain't doing too good. 3 full weeks, even on the Sabbath, bro.
Hey, you ain't get to Daniel yet, boy?
That was 3 weeks ago. The mom about to pass out from not having no food, bro.
But again, this also shows to show like, yo, the devil knows what we're praying for too.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And again, it ain't saying that he can stop the blessings of God, because clearly he still wasn't able to ultimately stop the angel from coming to God, but he sure did hold up the angel. He sure did hold it up. He sure, and just imagine if Daniel was a weak-willed person. That 3 weeks would have been long enough for a lot of people to lose hope and lose faith.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing that's important to know. And that's why it's important to keep your trust in God, right? Because that 3 weeks, but 3 weeks is a long time for anybody who in desperate need of a situation to change and turn around. And that's all the devil trying to do. He's just trying to buy enough time for you to lose faith.
Yeah, bro. And like even when we think about John the Revelator, right?
Mm-hmm.
He started off saying, I was in the spirit on the Lord's day.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You see what Daniel was doing. Like, we don't know how long he would have been doing this if the angel didn't come the time he came. We know he set out to do this, and he on week 3 of this fast, bro, going strong. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, like even just last week, what I was saying, like sometimes I think, like, what would it take for the Lord to what am I doing to block God from working through me in the way that he worked through others? Sometimes I really just think about like how we don't know other people's spiritual life, right? But sometimes I wish I could ask God, like what percentage am I on in like soldiers for your kingdom? Am I in the top percentile, or I like at the bottom? Am I struggling? You know what I mean? But we just ain't gonna know for real. But just look at what Daniel work ethic is like for God. Not, and I just ain't a work based type of message that I trying to preach, but I trying to say, look at what he is willing to do. It's like Jacob, Israel, right? Wrestling with God, bro. God done like, all right, bro, this happening too long, bro. Like, bro, the day about to break, bro. Now, all right, come on, Joe, go over. He's like, bro, I'm not letting you go until you bless me. You feel me?
Got a
Like, I'm
stubborn
not.
one on my hands.
Yeah. I'm not letting up until you see what I'm saying. I receive from you, and we see that was Daniel's persistence, bro. And this kind of don't even have nothing to do with him specifically. His time, he have more time behind him than ahead of him. You know what I mean? He probably will never go back to Israel, but he is zealous for God and for God's people. And so we see it, bro. So now the angel from the Bible is saying, bro, your words were heard, and I have come because of your words, right? From, bro, the first day that you set your heart to understand and to humble yourself before God, the first day you start to say, boy, I taken away my special like luxuries in my life. You see what I'm saying? I taken away the types of food and pleasures from the first day. God hear you. And, God was trying to move, but that angel get held up, by the principalities,
Yeah, man. Like what Colossians 1:16, for by him all things were created that are in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. So it's different ranks to these angels. Now, I ain't prepared to go over which one high and which one is do which and that kind of thing, but just know you could have I picture this as an army rank, right? You got a junior man who got assigned to a mission, and he buck up into some generals. And he was trying his best, but he couldn't make no headway.
No, he was a jabroni to Masiya. Or he might have get ganged too, he might have get jumped.
It's all like it was more than one.
Yeah, it sounded like it was more than one.
Well, but say just the prince of the kingdom of Persia.
Well,
he might have just come up against a senior demon, bro. Yeah. I think he just come up against a senior demon. He was just outmatched. Now, this is all speculation. This is Earl and Nakhaz is a breath of fresh air's interpretation of this. If you have a different opinion, please comment and let us know. You want to get into the Michael discussion? We'll save it up for another day.
We can get into it, bro. How much time? What time we at right now?
We about 50-ish minutes in.
Oh, we could save it for another time.
We could save it, but we more like focus on that just because Michael about to come back up again.
Yeah.
Michael about to come back up again in Daniel. So Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, for I have been left alone there with the kings of Persia. Since when they say kings of Persia. Okay. Now I have come to make you understand what will happen to your people in the latter days. For the vision refers to many days yet to come. In verse 15, when he had spoken such words to me, I turned my face towards the ground and became speechless. And suddenly, one having the likeness of the sons of men touched my lips. Then opened my mouth and spoke, saying to him who stood before me, My Lord, because of the vision of my sorrows have overwhelmed me, I have retained no strength. For how can this servant of my Lord talk with you, my Lord? As for me, no strength remains in me now, nor is any breath left in me. Then again, the one having the likeness of a man touched me and strengthened me and said, O man, greatly beloved, fear not. Peace be to you. Be strong. Yes, be strong. So when he spoke to me, I was strengthened and said, Let my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me. Then he said, Do you know why I have come to you? And now I must return to fight with the prince of Persia. And when I have gone forth, indeed the prince of Greece will come. But I will tell you what is noted in the scripture of truth. No one upholds me against these except Michael, your prince.
Boy, tempting to go into that, but I could
Boy,
talk
it's
to.
very tempting. It's
Yeah.
very tempting.
Um. So okay. So. Let me see. Where should I start? Verse 15. When he had spoken such words to me, I turned my face towards the ground and became speechless. And suddenly, one having the likeness of the sons of men touched my lips. Hold on. I think the King James says something different. That is verse 16. Because I think it do say this. Oh, do it say the sons of men? I can't remember. 10 verse 16. Bear with me, y'all. Oh, similitude of the sons of men. It did say sons of men in King James. So anyway, so now we can see someone different has
Mm-hmm.
now touched Daniel, right? Um, One of it is the likeness of the sons of men touched my lips. Then I opened my mouth and spoke, saying to him, Who stood before me? My Lord, because of the vision, my sorrows have overwhelmed me, and I have retained no strength. Um, then again, the one having the likeness of a man touched me and strengthened me, and he said, O man, greatly beloved, fear not, peace be to you. So strong, so be strong. Yes, be strong. Um, so anyway, I just wanted to kind of make a distinction that this ain't even one angel that Daniel is is interacting with right now. You see what I'm saying? But now when it comes to the Prince of Persia situation, it gets very confusing here because not only does they say the Persia of multiple princes, right? Like one of the
Mm-hmm.
princes of or the princes of Persia, it'll say, but it also say called Michael one of the princes, right? And so they keep using this term prince, prince, right? But then to end the chapter, what did they say? Except Michael, your prince. So now it gets confusing because I just could say this little piece and we can get back to it at another time. It got confusing because just last chapter it say 70 weeks are determined and in know therefore chapter 9 verse 25, know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the command to restore and build Jerusalem until Messiah the prince. You see what I'm saying? So in the book of
Mm-hmm.
Daniel, they use this term prince and they using it a lot.
A
That's just
lot, boy.
a lot. So now they say Michael is one of the princes, right? They say Persia of princes, right? And they fighting angels, right? So we obviously know this ain't human princes because if the human prince of Persia was like battling angels, why did the king of Persia, Cyrus, give the Israelites the decree to restore Jerusalem? Why was he inspired by God? You know what I mean? To go and give out. So contextually, we can kind of assume that they're not actually talking about the physical monarchs of Persia and Greece, but they're talking about prince in the term that they saying about angels, like Michael the Prince. You see what I'm saying? The Messiah, your Prince, like they like as like a authoritative
Mm-hmm.
role. And so one other thing I want to say, this isn't a complete apples to apples comparison, right? But when we talk about when we go back to shifting back to Revelation, right? They was talking about Jesus as a child. And now I'm using this reference again because it's another monarch being described, but they don't talk about the monarch. They talk about the devil. As we know in the book of, I think, Matthew, when Jesus was born, Herod issued a decree to have all the kids, all the babies killed because they were trying to kill Herod. They were trying to kill Jesus. I'm sorry, because the wise men came to Herod and said that, the Messiah is born. And Herod was like, oh, really? Oh, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
man. And so he tried to kill all of them, Now in Revelation 12, it says, now a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a garland of 12 stars. Then being with child, she cried out in labor and in pain to give birth. And another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great fiery red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 diadems on his head. His tail drew a third of the stars of heaven. We were just talking about how Satan has a third of the angels, how he took the third of the angels. This is the text where we how we know that. You see what I'm saying? So his tail drew and took a third of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to give birth, to devour her child as soon as it was born. She bore a male child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up to God and his throne. So now we see where the dragon, they saying, was trying to devour the child as soon as it was born. But hold on, no. That ain't how the story actually went, right? Wasn't Herod the one that issued the decree to have all babies killed? You see what I'm saying? So that he could kill or quote unquote devour the Son of God, the man child, as described in Revelation chapter 12. And so here we see in Daniel and Revelation, they using prophetic language again. And I must admit, it is not just easy to interpret just off reading. It's confusing because if you take it literal, it's saying the princes of Persia was holding back this angel. This angel can come and revive me of my strength, but you can't beat a man who's a prince. It don't add up, especially when other texts in the Bible, they talk about men's mortality. You know what I'm saying? How other texts in the Bible, how angels are clearly superior to men. And so now, just based on that context, we understand that the princes that they're talking about are symbolic princes. They're talking about that basically their power and their reign. You see what I'm saying? But not the fact that they are actually men. But these are the same influences. These are the same angels, quote unquote, demons that are influencing the pagan Persian Empire in the same way they influenced King Herod. The dragon influenced King Herod, I should say. So yeah, that's my piece on that.
And it's so interesting too, right? Because now we even see where Daniel was calling the second, I guess, person who touched him. Second or third. I'm getting loose. Daniel get touched a couple times in this chapter. But when he's saying, my Lord, because of the visions of sorrows, I have been retained. And again, this person touched him, Daniel calling him my Lord.
And then they describe him as one of the sons of God.
And he has the power to heal.
Yeah. So I think
interesting conversation.
Yeah, no, I think when we actually discuss Michael, because Michael is a celebrity among Christians because this is great debate.
It's great debate on his identity.
Yes, and it's nuanced too because you could believe he's Jesus or not Jesus. But then whilst he is Jesus, you could say that implies that Jesus is an angel or that Michael is God. You know what I'm saying? Or the Son of God. And I saying it in just like black and white terms, but we're gonna discuss it and bring Bible text to support, our stance on it. Definitely interesting.
The great Michael debate.
Yeah, definitely interesting for the podcast.
I'll take on the Michael debate.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, we have Daniel once again. Now he is very mature in age. He might be in his 80s.
He's an old man, but he's saying mature. This man is old.
Yeah, he might be in his 90s. You see what I'm saying? 80s or 90s. You feel me? Either one. But so now he's praying on behalf of his people. Once again, bro, 2 chapters back to back, we see that he was praying on behalf of his people, and God came to visit him. He saw the same vision that him and John the Revelator are seeing the same visions just from different time periods. And some are more detailed than the others. He already saw the beasts. He saw them broken apart because he didn't see, he had to see them one by one because these were empires that he had to live through. When John the Revelator came around, John the Revelator was already in like somewhat of the last beast. You know, he was in the last beast, I'm sorry. You know, and so he could see how all of these things are one united front or one united system. And so that's why God gave him these visions. I mean, the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation, they really go hand in hand, and
they're like sister books.
Yeah, they definitely are. And they help you to understand each other, because they might talk in months this time, they might talk in days that time, but it might be the same unit that they talking about. And you're like, oh, so that's how I should look at this. Because if I look at it from Daniel's perspective, I don't understand. But from John's perspective, I get a little more clarity. And, you know, they kind of scratch each other. But at the end of the day, one of my main takeaways from this chapter is the fact that from the second he decided to fast and pray, God heard his call. God heard his call. I just wrote a status this week on Facebook, delayed, not denied. This year, I've received a number of opportunities musically. And it was kind of interesting to me because I have not promoted music. You know, these songs I put out 5 years ago, and they making money. You see what I'm saying? Like they giving me, I don't know, bro. Like people trying to pay me for it. You know, they trying to license it, all type of stuff. And I'm just like, I didn't put in on this, and I don't even want that attention like that no more. You see what I'm saying? Like that when I was an active artist doing these songs, I wanted that. Now I don't care. But I see where God still opened up these doors, and so I obviously could benefit monetarily from this, you know? And I'm just like, bro, when I was praying for this 5 years ago, I wanted it to happen. I wouldn't have minded happening. But it happened nonetheless. You see what I'm saying? Like, it was delayed, but it was not denied. And you know, God's timing is perfect, but also when we think about the spiritual aspect of it, things going on behind the scenes that we do not have any clue about.
Any clue, bro.
You see what I'm saying? Clue. Like, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, bro.
And that's a really true text. So keep going. I won't cut you off.
No, go on. Because I got to pull up that text.
It's Ephesians.
All right.
It's Ephesians. I had it up earlier. I didn't close it. I want to say, dang.
6:12.
Yeah. when you have a blank out moment, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think it's just so important, right? Because we see, man, God is there, willing and able to help us, but there is an evil force in this world, and a lot of people try to downplay the evil force, but it's real. It's real. Like, people, all of these innocent stuff that introduce you to witchcraft, palm reading, Ouija boards, horoscopes, voodoo, Obey in the Bahamas. Like, these are real dark practices, man. These are real dark practices. These are real things that have physical effects on people and people's lives. So, I mean, the Bible tells us we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. The Bible tells us there's an evil force in this world. And we know the devil is out there seeking, like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. And it's powerful. Like, Daniel was praying. He didn't know the reason why God wasn't answering his prayer. Little did he know. God already answered your prayer, bro. But there's an enemy out there trying to stop you from getting your blessing. And I think that's important for all of us to keep in mind. Like, no, if you want to read the text, you could read it.
Yeah, for Ephesians 6:12, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. Mercy. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, stand. And let me tell you what I take from that, bro. Obviously, they say wrestle, right? So it's like, it's a constant back and forth, you know? But it ain't about humans, bro. Principalities, right? So they talk about spirits, right? But then they say powers against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. But in the King James, they say in high places, right? And so I always interpret that as being the rulers of this world. You see, the king of They talking about the in this text today. They talk about the people, the spirit, the spirits behind the Persian Empire. You see what I'm saying? Because he could have just said the spirit, or they could have said the devil, they could have said the dragon, but they want to let you know who they with. You see what I'm saying? Like, and who they working on all the time. So you see, the government might do, and think about it, bro. The Persian Empire, when we was doing Esther, the king, he issued a decree to worship him. You know what I mean? Like, if anybody worship to pray to anything except me, you see what I saying? And he signed that decree like it was nothing. Like these people wasn't
Nothing,
locked
bro.
in with God. Like,
No.
you feel me? When the devil tempted Jesus, right? He tell Jesus, bro, wait, if you bow to me, I could give you everything.
Everything.
How the devil can promise that if he didn't have complete access to everything? If we being honest, you see what I'm saying? And I think it's a text where Jesus called the devil, the prince of this world. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, we could go back to the beginning, right? But we know when Adam and Eve fell, they gave the keys to the world to Satan.
Yeah. And that's why in the book of Job, when all of the sons of God was meeting with
Who
all the
showed
other
up?
words, the
The
devil put
accuser.
up. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, for real. So yeah, bro, with all that being said, like, it's definitely a spiritual warfare. And Daniel having spiritual warfare every time, bro. Like, Daniel praying, and he praying them hard prayers, bro. Like, you see what I'm saying? He fasting and praying. Daniel is a big man in the spiritual realm, dog.
He's a
You see what
prayer
I'm saying?
warrior. Prayer
For
warrior.
real.
And I think it's something like you said that was interesting in last week's episode too, right? That you were saying that, man, that prayer was more powerful, him praying for his people and how he's praying for some people in our family. And I was like, you're right, mate, because Daniel going all out for praying people who he don't really know for real. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
like, you don't have an intimate relationship with all these people.
You know what I'm saying? But that just shows the type of character he is and the type of his relationship he have with God. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's important. And that's something to point out because how do you wrestle against the flesh? I mean, how do you wrestle against demons? You know what I'm saying? All you can do is pray and ask God for help.
Right.
You know what I'm
And then,
saying? Go for
and
it.
then another thing to that, right? He praying for he praying for his people, right? He praying for the Jews. You could say it's patriotic, but also this is religion. You see what I'm saying? Now, bro, the Jews are the church. We are Jews inwardly. You see what I'm saying? Like, we
Been
grafted
grafted
in.
in.
You see what I'm saying? Like, for real. So it's like we need to be praying for the church the same way Daniel was praying for the Jews. It's the same people. You see what I'm saying? Just on a different, one is pre-Messiah, one is post-Messiah type situation. Like, Daniel was praying for a revival. You know what I mean? Like, you know,
Boy, oh boy.
you're
And
tough.
it's so interesting too now. I think like I say that a lot, right? But man, even not going that thing, but praying for the church. The church right now is such an interesting place because it's so much worldly things that's getting intertwined in the church, and it's like so hard when you are dealing with the political climate that we in. People with different persuasions, different beliefs, and man, I was having a conversation with someone this week just talking about the truth, man, and like how people, like right now we live in an age where people don't want to accept what God has to say because they can't serve a God who says this or X, Y, and Z. They like if God doesn't align with their truth, they don't want to accept it. And it's such an interesting place to be in because man, the Bible says some things that are hard pills to swallow. You know what I'm saying? There's some hard pills to swallow, right? But you can't disregard it. It's like we started off this podcast episode with Proverbs 1, you know, talking about wisdom and being fools who reject wisdom. Now, we know the Bible is the ultimate source of truth. Should that then mean we should reject it when it doesn't align exactly with how we believe, with our own persuasions, with our own, why don't say our own political ideals or your own social norms that you want to conform to? And we ain't got to list them out because that's a whole podcast episode in itself. If certain things right or wrong in any different way or form, right? But it's like to your point, we should be praying for the church because these things shouldn't be discouraging us. These things shouldn't be dividing us. These things shouldn't be the wedge that's separating you from your brother. You know what I'm saying? Because again, God coming to save a saved group of ready people. You know what I'm saying? He ain't coming. Anyway, go for it.
No, it's like what the psalmist was saying. The Solomon was saying, bro. Like,
You don't even
when
know
I
what to
give
say.
you,
The wise sage.
yeah, the wise man. Because someone tell me Solomon ain't right all of the proverbs, but that text clearly said this was from Solomon. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So yeah, so like the wise man was saying, when the instruction is given and you choose to deny it, right? The wise man was going as far to say, but you hate wisdom. You catch what I said?
Mm-hmm.
Like because you just really object to it. You know what I mean? Like that's
Mm-hmm.
showing me you hate it. You get what I said? Like I wouldn't go to these extents, but he was obviously wiser than me. But it's like, bro, when calamity does strike, bro, I can't feel the sympathetic way. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what it's gonna be like when Jesus be like, depart from me, I never knew you. You
Mm.
see, and I ain't gonna laugh and taunt. You know, I confident in that. But it's really gonna be like, bro, I can't feel sympathy because of the amount of times I tried to give you wisdom and you reject it. And when you keep rejecting it, you convince me that you really just ain't into this. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. He who is filthy, let them be filthy still, man. That's in the what? That's in the like, last chapter of the Bible too. Oh my, it's an interesting time we live in. It's an interesting time we live in, and the crazy thing is, man, the wickedness only is going to step up. We ain't even see these wickedness and powers in high places. We ain't even see their final form yet. They gearing up for something big.
Oh yeah.
But these last days, boy, things about to get real interesting, and this is why you got to be studied. This is why you got to be studied up, man. This is definitely why you got to be studied up. And this is one of the reasons why we wanted to do Daniel, just
Yeah,
because of the times
definitely.
we living in. Because like these messages important, these topics important, and especially for the time we living in, things about to start happening. We don't know exactly when, but we know things. The way the world going, it ain't getting any better. And that ain't me trying to be a pessimist, because I'm a very optimistic person. You know, I believe the future still looks bright, but at the same time, you just know prophecy, you know history, you know just the way things heading and what's to come, right? There's a time of trouble in our future. Will it be in our lifetime? I can't say. We just gotta see how prophecy fulfills, but we know it's coming. And so you know how, like, if you read Revelation, you know the state of the world in the last days before Christ comes. There's going to be some turbulent times, and it ain't no getting around that. It ain't no, oh, maybe not. No, the Bible say this is going to happen, and so you just gotta be ready for it. You just gotta be ready. You gotta and you gotta make sure you read up as best as you could. Make sure your family's educated. If you have children, make sure they are trained up in the way that they should go. But just the way you know the world going, gotta instill the proper values in your family. That felt like a random tangent.
Yeah, bro. I mean, well, I just can end with just a text from Revelation. I hope I can find it one shot because I didn't Google it. Um,
Which one?
I basically want the testimony of Christ. Um, what's it called, bro? Oh man, sorry y'all. Sorry for having a
Revelation
blank.
you were 19?
Yeah, let me get the one from 19. You got that one?
No, I just was saying if that's the chapter you were trying to go
Oh,
to.
yeah, no. It's talking about the remnant church. The remnant church. Um.
Okay.
Anyway, I ain't even get to that. I have a text. You see what I'm saying? Revelation chapter 10, 19 verse 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him. But he said to me, see that you do not do that. I am your fellow servant. Oh, this is something we got. This is an interesting text too. I didn't read. I did. This is an interesting text because this is a different angel that John is falling to his feet. But anyway, he says, see that you do not do that. I am your fellow servant and of your brethren who have the testimony of Jesus. Worship God, for the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
And so the reason why I want to say that is because it's very important to have the spirit of prophecy. It's a text that I was thinking about in the book of Revelation where they were saying how the remnant church kept the command. The dragon was wroth. You see what I'm saying? with those who kept the commandments and had the testimony, or I have it right now.
Revelation 12, right?
Yeah, verse 17. And the dragon was enraged with the woman, and women signify the church. And he went to make war with the rest of her offspring who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So now this right here, we're going to get to Revelation one day, but this right here is talking about the time of Jacob's trouble, what Earl was alluding to, you know. I can't say when. It could be next, you know what I mean? But it could be in due time, you know what I mean? But so just comparing Revelation 12 and Revelation 19, and the overall theme of Daniel is that the dragon in the last days is going to persecute the remnant church, right? And who is the remnant? Those who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ, yep.
And what was the testimony that we just learned? It's the spirit of prophecy. You see what I'm saying? So I was just talking to somebody that I am helping to disciple for Christ. And this is a young lady, she asked me for advice on reading the Bible. And she was telling me that her pastor was telling her that Revelation is so hard and it's like impossible to understand. And I was telling her, some find it difficult, some find it more difficult than others, but it is absolutely not impossible to understand. And it is actually important to understand. One, because it's in the Bible, and two, because it gives us prophecy, things that are to come. You see what I'm saying? So in Revelation 12, verse 17, the remnant of us seed kept the commandments and had the spirit of prophecy. So one thing we should not ignore is prophecy. You see what I'm saying? If we call ourselves the remnant church, it doesn't matter what denomination you are. If you consider yourself the remnant church, as stated in the Bible, you will keep the commandments and have the spirit of prophecy. After 3 weeks of fasting and praying, Daniel saw a vision of a man whose face appeared as lightning, his eyes of flaming torches, his arms and feet like the gleam of polished bronze, and he sounded like the voice of a multitude. While Daniel alone saw this vision, the people that were with him could not see it, but they were deathly terrified. Then he was visited by a messenger of God who told him that he had been dispatched to answer his prayers, but was withheld for 3 weeks until he was delivered by Michael the archangel. This ordeal greatly troubled and weakened Daniel. But this wasn't the last vision that he received. But we'll talk more about that as we continue in Daniel 11 on the next episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Tonight's episode included voice acting by your host, Nakhaz. Remember to go ahead and research on your own in order to get a more firm understanding of tonight's episode. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. You can follow us on social media at A Breath of Fresh Air Pod on Instagram and BOFAPOD on Twitter. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week.